Welcome to another episode of We Don't Die. I'm your host, Sandra Champlain, author of the #1 international best-selling book called We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. Today, our guest is Celine Taylor. She is a psychic medium who works with the angel and spirit worlds. She has suffered her own fair share of grief and hard times, which have led her to the path she is on today. Selene uses her intuition to offer guidance to all of her clients, encouraging them to move in a positive direction and face the challenges that may lay ahead of them. She is a spiritual teacher and holds workshops as well as demonstrating mediumship in private readings or throughout Ireland on platform. Committed to making a global difference, her latest live Facebook video has been seen by over 20,000 people. Celine's readings are known as being highly accurate, and you can visit her website at CelineTaylorPsychicMedium.com. Celine Taylor, a warm welcome to We Don't Die Radio.
Hi, Sandra, and a big hello to all your beautiful listeners.
Oh, you're so sweet. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, me too. Really excited.
Our mutual friend, Darren Hart, set us up.
Yes. Hi, Darren.
Hi, Darren.
Big hi to Darren.
We love Darren. Yeah, he's been a guest on this show. Good man, good man. Celine, thank you. And how does your story begin? Can you give us a little bit of background as to...
Yeah, of course.
Were you born a psychic medium or...
Yeah, absolutely. It was only really recently in the last 3 years where I've been kind of going back into my past and what's been happening. And excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold on, so excuse me. In the last 3 years, I've been putting a book together, which is amazing and which is a big, massive goal for me. It's only going through kind of sitting down and listening to my own spirit guides, which I will talk about in a few minutes. I was sitting down with my mother then also one day, and I explained to her, Mum, I can remember this kind of setting and this kind of background and these kind of curtains. But Sandra, the thing about it was I could smell milk from my clothes. I could see the baby growths on me. I could pull myself up on the bars. And this, today I know as me being in a cot, looking at my mother and my father in the bed. And at that time, there was like, do you know the little lights, the northern lights? And they were dancing in my room. I used to always call these my magic night lights.
Beautiful.
I used to always be afraid of the dark, and I've always seen these magic dance lights. And I know these today as angels, which back then was just my magic dance lights. I used to feel safe. I used to feel so secure. These lights never spoke to me, but they just shone brightly. I can always remember them. And I think I've seen these lights right up till I was the age of 8. And then they start appearing in more human form to me.
That's beautiful. Yes.
So that would be my earliest memory. And, you know, my mother would say, Celine, that's crazy. You couldn't possibly remember that cot, because I can remember, my family wouldn't had a whole lot of money when I was growing up. And the bars of the cot was really, really chewed up on from my other siblings. And like I said, I can remember these bars being chewed. And she said, this is crazy because we finished with the cot when you were born, when you were finished using it. So you couldn't possibly remember it. I can remember also there was a little Bambi or a little deer at the side of the cot as well. So that's going right back to, I'd say when I was about 6, 7, 8 months old. That's my earliest memory. Growing up then, I would have different spirit guides, different guides come to me in different parts of my life at different stages. But one specific guide I can remember, which I didn't know back then that she was a guide until only in the last 6, 7 years maybe. And I'd known this girl to be the little girl in the cardigan, okay? Her name, I could remember, was so long to pronounce, so I always called her the girl in the cardigan. She would always come and her first words would be, hello, do you like my cardigan today? Now, she used to always wear either a red cardigan or a navy cardigan, and this is why she asked me, do I like her cardigan? This is the girl that learnt me how to read and write. I got it really, really, really hard in school. And as I sat in the sitting room trying to practice and practice, because I remember Santa Claus was after bringing me this amazing book with all these animal pictures. I can still see the book right now as we speak. These little animals and deers and dogs in it. And I just so wanted to read it. I wanted to be able to read it to my little sister Natasha. But the words just, it wasn't coming to me. I just used to make up my own little story out of the pictures. And she helped me read one day. And after that, then I haven't seen her. I stopped seeing the little girl in the red cardigan. I think it was about 9 or 10 years of age. Oh my God, there's a little girl in my room, and she asked me, do I like her cardigan? I jumped off my chair. I ran in to see was she there, and she was gone. So, yeah, that was amazing, and it just brought back a lot of memories for me. As I explained at the start, that nighttime used to scare the life out of me. It really, really did. Growing up was really, really tough, especially coming to teenager years. Thoughts and visions and things I didn't understand was coming to me, and different visions was coming to me, different spirits was coming to me. And, you know, I didn't have the understanding that to say, hello, how are you? You know, and interact with the spirit like I do now today.
Right.
And my own sister, Natasha, she was going through the very same things. This is the mediumship side comes from my mother's side, which my mother has great gifts herself, and her mother before her, and it goes in a long line of mediums from my mother's side of the family. Mm-hmm. On my father's side, he's the fourth generation of Irish Celtic healing. So we have great healing powers as well, energy healing. Great. We heal with the angels, but we do the old Irish Celtic healing as well. So that comes from my father, and he's doing Irish copper discs, and he's selling them all over Ireland now at the moment, and they're reaching UK, which is terrific for him.
Great.
Yeah, and I suppose then I fought it so much when I was a teenager. I rebelled against spirit, and I started wanting to live my life like normal children, I suppose, would. It was so hard to concentrate in class, in school, because I would always see spirit, or I would always see light, or I would always see, whether it be an angel, playing, or being cheeky, or as we would say here in Ireland, acting the magus. So it was very, very hard to concentrate, very, very hard to concentrate. But, you know, as the years rolled on, I did try to work and do different things in my life, and it just wasn't happening. I became very, very, very depressed in myself when I was about 17, 18. I was a very young girl back then, and Spirit came to me, and he told me I would never feel like the way I feel right now, because I was going to give birth to a new baby, and she would change my life forever. I'm with my husband since I was 15 years of age, and you know, it was, I suppose, devastating for my family that I was pregnant so young.
Yes.
But he was right. She did change my life, and as the years went by, myself and Patrick got married. We had more children, and sadly, I had a beautiful baby boy, and he was born 15 weeks early. So he was pretty small, and he came home from hospital, and he had to go back in because he had a little cold. So on that specific day, I had said to my mum, something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. You know, this day is going to go terribly wrong. And we got a call that our baby boy, Patrick, was terribly sick, and we had to rush and race to the hospital. But again, we got there, Patrick had passed. Mm-hmm. even when we were driving to the hospital, I felt very, very strange. This had never happened to me before. I had felt my whole world was just about to be turned upside down, and it was. The doctor explained that Patrick had passed away, and I suppose from then on I lived in no man's land. I was zombified. I was just, the whole world was just living, and I was on the outside looking in, just a very young mother. Suppose listening to my own heart, it was skipping beats. And at that stage, I didn't feel I was going through any grieving process. I didn't feel I was sad on myself. I just felt nothingness. It was emptiness, and it was pain. Yes. And I can totally relate what bereavement is and what grief is. And moving on then, I was getting Leah's breakfast one morning, my daughter, and I turned around and I seen Patrick on the floor, and he just smiled at me. He didn't say anything to me, and this absolutely ray of light just shone upon me. It was absolutely magnificent. The heat from this, the strength, that love that I felt, it felt like he was giving me all my strength back, if that makes some sort of sense. He was giving me all back, everything that I lost. In that moment, I knew he was okay, and I knew that there was no longer for me to grieve any longer. And I practiced my mediumship. I tried to, sit in my room and listen to my spirit guides and get a stronger connection because I wanted to see more and more and more of them. But then my spirit guide says, no, this is not how mediumship works, Celine. I've seen Patrick, I think about 2 or 3, 4 times at max, but I've never spoke to him. I've never spoke to my own spirits. I've never seen any of my other spirits, like my grandmother or my grandfather. I've only seen my nana in my dreams, but my nana had passed away before I was born. This is the woman that learns me a lot in my sleep, in my dreams. She learns me a lot of tea leaves. She learns me a lot of clairvoyance and stuff like this. And this is all in my new book that's coming out next year as well, Sandra. So as we move on then into life, I became closer and stronger with my spirit guides. My spirit guides have 2 masters. We're not allowed to know their names. Master 1, he is an English teaching man, grey-haired man, always dresses in white. This man is blind, but he brings along with his cane with him all of the time. He's absolutely magnificent. But when I don't do what I'm told, I am scolded. Okay, he does give out to me. I also have Master number 2. He's my main master. He's there to learn me the mental and emotional strengths of the psychic link and the mediumship link. Okay, how to be strong and how to look after myself, basically during mediumship. It's almost like climbing the stairs, if that makes sense, Sandra. And then I have a Catholic nun, and here in Ireland, it's such a big Catholic country, and I suppose that's probably the hardest part for me, because everybody is very, very religious here in Ireland, and a lot of people would disbelieve in what I do. So, like, my community and everything is very supportive of me, but still, as a Catholic, I'm not supposed to do this work. I was born with this work. I didn't choose this work, okay? So as we move forward then, my master, and he teaches me massive strengths. As I move on, I have a sister Kathleen, talking about her, and she is there to teach me love and compassion, which is so important when you're working with the public, but also working with spirit, because that's what spirit give off. The most beautiful love, unconditional love. It's like a love that you've never felt before. It's sometimes it can be very overwhelming, the amount of love Spirit gives to you and have to you. It truly is magnificent, really is. And as we move on then, since I started my platform work last year, what was happening to me when I went out and platformed, Sandra, was I was getting my spirits all mixed up, okay? So 2 or 3 spirits that come to me, I'd get very confused of this. And I now have 2 protectors that sort these spirits out for me, which really, really helps. I met Sir Williams, and the other guy is a Greek Roman soldier, which I've tried to learn his name, but it can't roll off my tongue. I wouldn't have a great selection of words, as I explained earlier in my earliest days, that, I try the girl in the red cardigan or the girl in the cardigans, try to learn me to read and write. I only have a very, very small selection of that. But with my spirit and my spirit guides, they've helped me become stronger and helped me to gain more confidence with speaking with the public. And this is why they wanted me to start my platform work, which brings me right up to today. And in the last 3 years, my master had come to me and he said to me, Selene, it's time for you to write a book that's going to change the world. So that leads me right up to today, Sandra.
Well, I have some questions.
Yes.
Well, first of all, my heart goes out to you with the physical death of your baby boy. Mm-hmm. And
thank you.
I know so many of us looking back, it's the toughest times that actually give us the most amount of growth and kind of get us on our path. And for him to help heal your heart by you seeing him, what a gift. But I wanted to ask you about your masters and your spirit guides.
Yeah.
Just coming from as a person that believes that we all have guides with us, but I haven't a clue who they are. How did they first present themselves to you? And I love Sir William and then the Roman coming to you, but do you see them with your mind's eye? Can you hear them? Is it all of the above?
Yeah.
To you, it's normal. For someone who's never had it, it's like, what the heck is she experiencing?
Yeah, yes, I suppose, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so with my teacher, the English teacher, Master One, he came to me one day. I was living with my grandmother at the time, and my grandmother is now in spirit world, but I was living with my grandmother at the time. And I can remember I was in first year and I was studying for a Christmas exam. And I can remember very well it was geography. And, excuse me. And he stood at the door and he banged his cane against the door, tap, tap, tap. And I looked around and I said, hello. And he said to me, because I was so stressed, as much as I was looking at this information on my book, Sandra, it just would not sink into my head. I just could not absorb the information. No matter how much I tried, the information just would not sink into my head. And he said to me, Celine, what did the little girl in the cardigan teach you? And I look back and I remember that she told me to write it out until I remembered it. And that's what I did. Now, I didn't get an A, obviously, in my exam, but, I passed it and I was happy with that. So that was, I suppose, my first encounter that I can remember with my main spirit guides that I have today. Like I said, Sandra, going back, I had so many different guides, so many different spirits. I'd nearly want 2 days to be talking to you to explain them all. Like the little girl in the red cardigan or the little girl in the cardigans, she was my very first spirit guide that I can remember of. Then moving on then to my master, the Chinese monk. He always carries a book. A really, really it's a really, really heavy book that he carries. And he's a very, 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 very wise, very wise. He always said to me, Celine, you have so many questions. This spirit guide, my two masters, I see them with my eye, with my own eye, not my mind's eye. I see them with my own eye. And going on then to Sister Kathleen, I can see her in my mind's eye, but I also have sit-down conversations with this woman. She is very, very beautiful. Her skin is so beautiful. She's very, very like a pale complexion, but not ghostly like, okay, if that makes sense, not transparent or anything like that. I've never seen a spirit come in that's kind of transparent. When I'm sitting doing my readings, Sandra, maybe out of the 10 people that come to me in a day, I would possibly see with my own eyes 2 spirits in that day. The rest are all done through my third eye or through a mind's eye. And this would be like a sort of telepathic mediumship, if that makes any sense.
Yes,
okay?
That's more what I'm familiar with.
Yeah. Then my two protectors. This is really extremely funny. I can remember I was up near the top of Ireland, a place called Letterkenny, and I was getting ready for a big demonstration the next day. So my husband was down, and as typical man and typical Irish man, he was down having his pint at the bar, and I was up trying to meditate and relax. So I was lying on the bed, and I was, cleaning the chakra system, cleaning and cleansing myself and getting myself ready. And this man with very light armor comes into my room. And he explains to him, he was so courteous, so he was like, I am here to serve you. He made me feel like I was a princess. He made me feel like I was a queen. And that's why he said to me his name was William. And I said, I call you Sir William. I play, I have a mess. I, would play around with my spirit guides. These I play around with a lot. I can remember seeing his sword as well in front of him. But when I looked down at the ground, I couldn't see there was a ground. I couldn't see the bottom of the sword. Okay, so the sword was like never ending. That's what it looked like to me. So he went, and about an hour after that, this other man came into my room. Now, mind you, Sandra, this guy had blonde, wavy hair, big, deep blue eyes, muscles on him. Wow. Okay, and he came into my room, and he was a half-dressed man, and I was there sitting on my bed thinking, oh my God, am I actually flirting with a spirit guide? I had a half-dressed, very hunky man, spirit man in my room, and then I'm like, crap, he can hear my thoughts. And, and I was blushing, but he was laughing. I can remember the more I blushed, the more he laughed, because obviously he knew what I was thinking, and that made me even more embarrassed. So he learned me how to say his name. I couldn't. I kept saying it wrong. And then I said, I'm sorry, but can I call you Hercules? And he just thought this was very, very funny. So that's who he looks like, Hercules, and that's who he reminds me of, is Hercules.
That is
so
sweet.
He stand as, when I start my work, I always see a portal, okay? These stand at either side of my portal, or at the spirit's portal, I should say. It's not mine, I don't own it. But they're there to protect and kind of help, protect and help me. When I say protect, Sandra, a lot of people ask me, do I believe in dark energies, or do I believe in darker spirits? To to all your listeners out there, I, Selene, would be very, very skeptical myself because I have to see things to believe them. And I only know for what I've seen. I've never seen or had any encounters with what people call a bad spirit or a darker energy. I've only known spirit to be pure love, pure divine love. No matter what they have done in their life here on earth, whether it was, drug addiction or drug dealing or anything of any sort that they feel that they have a penance for. I haven't seen that, Sandra. It's not like the movies that you see on TV.
Yes.
There's no aggressiveness. It's just sheer love. It's just pure love, and that's all they want to send their families. It's just pure, beautiful, beautiful love. Even to say, a lot of people say, well, is my mum at peace or is my dad at peace? For me, the way they feel is like, when you go on a roller coaster and you get off it and you're on the pure adrenaline, that's how spirit feels. So to me, this wouldn't be like our peace, what we would feel like, oh God, I need a bit of peace right now. It wouldn't be like that. It would be pure love, pure excitement, and absolutely on a pure high. Okay, like after coming off that big roller coaster, that's how spirit feels to me, and that's how they feel in spirit world.
Fantastic.
Even when a child comes through, a child spirit, that they bounce across the place, they're full of energy. They don't want to sit down and talk. They want to talk while they're moving. Okay, it really is magnificent. Truly is.
Celine, do you have any favorite stories of reconnecting someone with their loved one that's in the spirit world?
Absolutely.
Because the name of the show obviously is We Don't Die. So I always like to hear stories of why you believe, or maybe things.
I actually have two. I can't choose from. So
okay.
So I was, when I started my professional reading, going out professional reading with the cards, I started out. I was at my first show. I think it was in the Shearwater in Ballinasloe. It's near Galway. Okay, and I sat down. I had beautiful setting on my table, and I was always learned, I suppose, you need to dress well for spirit. That once you have your makeup on and once you have your dress on, you're ready to speak with spirit. Okay, and so everything was going really, really, really well. And this mum came up to me, this mother. She had a little boy and a girl. I'd say there was only about 2 years between the boy and the girl. And she said, "Hi, Celine." She said, "I was wondering, could you give myself and my kids a reading?" And I said, "I'm sorry. You have to be over 18." And trying to explain, And she said, "That's okay." And the two children sat behind her on their seats. And the mother sat down, and I could feel straight away her husband coming in beside her. My heart sank to the ground. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to control my emotions now? I can't be me right now, okay? And that's important when you're working with spirit. That you have to step outside yourself. So I said, okay, I understand that your husband's here. You can call your children over to me. And she said, really? And I said, absolutely. And the children came over, and I had said to the son, he was a little bit younger than the girl, and he was hanging his head to the ground. He really, really was in so much pain. And I said to him, I said, your dad told me to tell you that he got that yellow balloon that you sent up to the sky to him. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, really. And to the little girl, I said, I know he's telling me, your dad is telling me when you put your sun cream on this morning, it turned into a love heart shape. Isn't that right? She was like, really? Them kids, I don't know. It's just amazing to be able to see their smiles leaving the mother grabbed me so hard and she said, I can never thank you enough for what you're doing. And I said, it's not me. Please don't thank me. Thank your husband. Thank your spirit, because he did all the hard work. And yes, absolutely, it's so much harder for spirit to connect with us than it is for us to connect with the spirit world. So she was super proud and she was so happy. And she only texted me recently, since that day the kids came to see me, she said, you changed her whole life. Wow. And that meant a lot for me. The mother remarried and she's very, very happy at the moment now. So that was a life-changing story for them. But after, anyways, that day, I said, what are you doing down here so far away? Because they came on holiday. She said, my son had got his confirmation, and he said, we'll go on a night away in a hotel. And that's what they did. And then he said, he seen my poster out in the hall, and he said, Mommy, would that lady be able to, excuse me, help me find my daddy, or connect with my daddy? Oh. And she said, I'm not sure. And he said, I'm going to pay for it out of my confirmation money. And he came to me, his little face with his little money, all happy. And I said, you go keep that money and you buy yourself something very special. Oh. And yeah. So, that was a massive, massive story.
Massive.
One I'll always remember. It was made such a difference to them. And that's what it's about, isn't it?
The difference, Celine, in their lives, I know. Absolutely. Even in my own family, when children experience a loss and aren't really helped through the grief and even getting the information that the loved ones are still around, it's one thing to tell them that. It's a whole nother thing to say, Daddy saw the yellow balloon that you released for him, or the cream on the face that was a heart. That's life-changing, to grow up with that confidence.
I can remember as well, then I said, that's his symbol to you always. He'll always send you the love hearts. And she now sends me, if she's on a beach, she'll see a love heart pebble, or that she'll see, a little puddle of water with love hearts. She said the love hearts are always around her, and they're very, very grateful. Yeah, it's terrific. My second story was much harder. It was very, very harder. It was much, much harder, actually. So I live in a really, really small community where we only have a church, a school, and a pub. Very Irish, huh?
That's all you need. No.
Yeah. But it's a really, really, really small community, but it really is a very supportive community, and it's absolutely amazing community, actually. Very grateful. We moved down there 9 years ago. And, my husband got to know quite a lot of people in the community where I would be very much one to keep to myself. And I wouldn't have known a whole lot of people only in the last, I suppose, 2 years. But this is going back an awful tragedy in our community. And a man had a road traffic accident very close to his house. It was only like a stone throw away from the house where he passed. And after about 6 months after he passed, I was driving home. I'm in the parish choir in Clara. And after I was driving home that night, I passed where he was. And he got into my car. Now, I only knew this man to see. I'd never knew him to talk to. My husband would have known him much better than I would. And he got into the car, and he said, you need to go in and talk to Margaret. Margaret was his wife. I said, I can't do that. And then I was thinking of that program. I don't know if you have it over there. It's called The Ghost Whisperer.
Yes.
And I was like, I can't do that. That's very strange. You can't do that. I don't even know this woman. So it went on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. He was in my house. He wasn't being rude or anything of any sort, But it was like when I wasn't paying attention, he would do different things in the house. Like I was after buying a brand new TV for my husband for Christmas. And Paddy kept turning it on and turning it off and turning it on and turning it off. And my husband got up then to check the wires. And I was laughing and Paddy was laughing because for the simple reason was Paddy was laughing at my husband because my husband, that's what he does. He does cables, he does internet, you know, and he couldn't find out what was wrong with the television, but it was
funny.
Paddy, the spirit, was turning it on and off. He was doing the same with our lights. So we'd go to bed at night time, he'd turn the TV on and it would go up full blast. So my husband would come out and turn it down, get back into bed. We'd just gone off to sleep and again, come back on. So this is going on, like I said, for weeks upon weeks. And I said, okay, Paddy, I'm listening. What do you want me to do? What do you need me to do? He said, finally. He said, I need you to talk to my family. I need you to tell them something. I need you to let them know I'm okay. And you really need to talk to them. I said, Paddy, I can't go to this family's house. I really cannot go to this family's house. We were sitting at the kitchen table. I kept saying, I cannot go down to this family. I can't knock on their door and say, hey, your husband's here beside me. He wants to talk to you. I said, I can't do that, Paddy. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, you send me somebody and I will talk to them. I said, send someone to me for a reading. Send someone to me for a healing and I will talk to them.
Great.
Within a half hour, not even, within 30 minutes, 25 minutes, I got a text message. This girl wanted to come up to get her healing done. And it actually was the woman's best. It was the woman that was coming to me. It was Margaret. Margaret and the woman was best friends, okay? Mm-hmm. So Paddy was very, very happy, very, very excited. He was after getting his own way and he was super excited. So, yeah, the girl came up and I gave her healing and gave her information about Patrick and Paddy. She was very, very understanding, so understanding. She went down and she had told Margaret, Patrick's wife, Paddy's wife, and within that then I was asked to go down to their house. I had such a lump in my stomach and I can remember Paddy holding my hand through the gates and he said to me that it was okay, that Margaret was a really nice woman and she's very understanding. And I don't even remember knocking at the door. Next thing I knew, I was sitting down in their kitchen. And I don't know whether it was so hard because he was from the community and it was like people expected me to have known him, if that makes sense, which made it harder. And I told him very private things. I've told him exactly what happened that night, which is very personal, private, and I can't give it over radio.
Understand.
But what happened that night, time and everything, and things that went wrong with the car, and what happened to his body before he passed, and the family got some comfort out of that, got amazing healing out of that, and got, you know what I mean. The inquest was the next day, so as Margaret had said to me, you gave me great comfort and great strength to go to the inquest the next day, knowing, she had came to me then the following day after the inquest, and she said, well, everything that you had said came up in the inquest, and that's why, you've given me so much strength. I wouldn't have been able to go through it without hearing the information that you were after giving me. And me and Margaret has since then has become really, really, really good friends. I've helped her through, massive hard days in her life.
Yes.
And her family, which is, it's good to be able to do that. And that's the best part of doing and being able to see and hear what I do, Sandra.
Those are two
Absolutely.
beautiful stories. Thank you for sharing. I want to talk a little bit more about what you're most passionate about now. Is it teaching workshops? Is it doing platform? Mm-hmm. I want to know about your live Facebook videos. I'm thinking, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or maybe it's all of the above. Would you share?
Yeah. I kind of do at the moment what I'm told to do or what I'm guided to do. Okay, so regarding the spirit guides, they'll say now it's time for this, Celine, now it's time for that. As I said, they're working massively on my confidence, and that was got to do with my platform work last year. I've worked very, very hard doing the platform work last year. Not so much this year because I'm very focused on the finishing touches of the book, and I am doing a lot with, as you said, Facebook, my Facebook feeds, my videos. I think it's very, very important that, Sandra, you give back to people, and that's what mediumship is all about, and that's what this gift is all about. I have my own little clinic in Bannislow and at my home, and I work there on a daily basis. But, I once had nothing, Sandra, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I once didn't have money to be able to go to a reader to find out how my loved ones were, and I think this is why I definitely do the live Facebook feed, to be able to give their messages across to people, or whether it's just guidance of the cards or guidance of the angels, that I do give their messages across, and that's very important to me, actually. So yeah, that would be very, very passionate. Yeah,
Celine, when you do
mean a lot to me.
Sorry to interrupt. When you do your
Yeah.
Facebook Live, are you
Mm-hmm.
actually feeling and doing readings for people that are in the audience of your live videos?
Yeah. Mhm. So it's
Very cool. Very cool.
So there's a panel of comments in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
and if people would say, pick me, or can I have a card, please? Or, and I would say, okay, I get it hard, as I said, to pronounce names or to spell or read. And if I can't, I will spell that name out so that person knows it's them. And I will pull maybe 2 or 3 cards for them. And then I might get the presence of spirit beside me. So this could be anybody's spirit in the audience. Spirits are so clever, Sandra, that they know, that message is going to get to their loved one, whether it takes a day, 2 days, 3 days, because people share the video, it's going to get to their loved one. I never not had a week go by when I didn't connect to someone's loved one, which is really, really, really good, really special. Yeah,
they are smart.
Yes, reaching out to the audience.
What I'm hearing you saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that you could be live, and then the spirits are so smart that they'll throw in some words for their loved one, knowing that it will be shared, and that eventually that person will see it.
Yeah. So the way it works is, a spirit will come stand before me or stand beside me, or if it's children, to hide underneath my table, and I'll say, okay, I have a male beside me. He's representing the father figure. I'm just going random here now, Sandra. And he's the father figure. Oh, he's telling me that his name is maybe John or Jack or Joe, or and he's showing me, and spirit showing me the calendar with a red rose gone across this. This shows me that the spirit died on such a date, on such a month, which kind of narrows it down a lot. It narrows it down loads. Then I'll say, okay, he's actually looking to speak to maybe a Sandra or a Mary or Olivia. Okay, it could be anybody. But then if this lady is looking at the video, she's saying, oh my, that's my father, or, that's my uncle, or that's my granddad. And then if they're on live looking, we kind of get them linked on. So other people can see exactly who I'm talking to, who I'm giving the message across, because it's important to have that evidence there as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So I would say that, when they come on, do you understand why he is saying such and such and such a thing? And, yeah, they would connect with it, and that's another healing well done, you know. And um, like I said, I never like people saying thank you, even though I'm grateful they say thank you. But to me, and I've always said it, that mediums, psychics, we are just postmen or postwomen. Really, we're just a vessel. We're just carrying the message across. And that's what a lot of mediums and psychics forget, you know, that we are just a vessel. And it's important not to let ego get in the way too.
Ego can be so tough. It's funny, you just did
Uh-huh.
off the cuff talking about that, but when you said father coming through,
hmm
daughter named John, then he said Jack, whatever. My dad was John. I thought,
Yeah,
is it a
yeah, yeah,
coincidence or is he there?
yeah.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying about ego, certainly, but I also know on the being a sitter, the only way we can give back is with a thank you. And it really is, even though it's the spirit world, you were the one that said, use me. I'm here. I want to give.
Yeah.
I want to make a difference. So you just take the thank
hmm
yous. That's beautiful. And how can we find out when you do the Facebook Live? Are you, obviously you're on Facebook, but are you on a Celine Taylor psychic medium? How would we search
Yeah,
for you?
I'm on Celine Taylor Psychic Medium on Facebook.
Hmm.
And I usually do my videos on a Monday night at 8 o'clock. And it depends on bank holidays and stuff like that. Usually I put up information. I'm going to be live tonight, guys, you know, going live tonight. People will know. And it's gone right now where I'm getting text messages or something will bring in. Can't wait to see you live tonight. And you know that we have a team that actually works behind the scenes with me. Because if I was to look at all my messages that I got after the live videos,
It's
it would take me a
overwhelming.
day to read them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. So, you know, to have a team on there behind the scenes trying to help as well. Now, I just literally just talking to the screen. I don't know how to press any buttons. I don't even know how to work Facebook. I am I'm really bad at computers, really bad at phones, everything. My husband, Patrick, he's amazing. He's helped me and he's so supportive. He's helped me a lot in the last 3 weeks. Getting my name out there and, you know, letting people know that I healed. And yeah, he's super.
Well, hello to him. Hey, what a good man. Do you do telephone readings also? If someone were to
Yes,
contact you
yes,
from
yes, I
halfway
do.
around the world?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Um, yeah, so I do telephone readings. I do video calls, you know, the live video calls as well. I
Yes.
do them as well. Yeah, I do also emails as well.
Oh, that's email readings?
Mhm.
Who knew?
Yeah.
That's a first.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Beautiful.
do. I read, and my husband types.
Oh, that's great. You do have a
Yeah.
partnership. And for listeners, you mentioned normally Mondays at 8 p.m. That's your time.
Yeah.
In the States, that would
Mhm.
be like
Oh yes,
3
yes. I
p.m. New
completely
York
forgot.
time. That's right. 3 p.m. New
Yeah.
York time, noon California time. You'd have to do the math where you live. But
Yeah.
Celine is in
Mhm.
Ireland, so her Monday
Yeah.
8 p.m. You just have to do a little math and then find her on Celine Taylor Psychic Medium on
Mhm.
Facebook. I do want to ask, I had this thought when we were talking about your
Mhm.
masters and teachers and guides and things.
Mhm.
And I know you teach workshops and I, this is just me off the cuff here.
Mhm.
I want very much to know who my guides are. Okay.
Mhm. Ah.
And I think a lot of people do. And we don't all have the gift of being able to see them, or we might, we
Mhm.
just might not know it.
Mhm.
But I had this thought while you were talking. I know when I'm looking to buy a new car, say, and if I have that
Yeah.
car in my mind's eye, suddenly I see them all over the
Mhm.
place. Or if I'm going to
Yeah.
go on a vacation, a holiday somewhere, and I know the destination, suddenly in my like all of a sudden I hear people talking about that destination or I see things
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
feel
Mhm.
we're more inclined knowing we have something on the horizon like that. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering if with our spirit guides, if we honestly had the intention of having them introduce themselves to us, get some
Mhm.
signs for them, and really coming from a place of love, do you
Mhm.
think that that might open a doorway for us to actually start getting communication from them?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. I think um, people are so overly focused and they analyze on it too much. Okay,
Hmm.
instead of just allowing it to happen very easily. Sandra, I can remember when I was 13 years of age old, and my grandmother said to me, "Celine, do you want to know the ingredients of life?" And of course, at 13 years old, you're like, "Oh, Granny, Um, I said, "Okay, go on." She said, "If you're not happy, change it." She said, "If it's broken, fix it. And if it doesn't work anymore, you need to throw it out." She said, as humans, or as we go on, um, we overcomplicate things, we overanalyze things, we make things harder in our lives than we should. And we do, okay? Whether it is within love, whether it's bill paying, whether it is upbringing of your children, we overanalyze, we overfocus. Um, and it's just, you just need to really connect with the soul itself. And it's all about blending your soul with the spirit world, um, and being so open, whether you're just sitting in a quiet space or, um, as I do say to my own students, if you listen to the silence isn't really silent after all. Okay.
Incredible.
Um,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't know where their ear chakras is. Their ear chakras is at the center or either side of the temple. Okay. So this is showing the mind. And a lot of my students get so focused or so stressed that they're not hearing spirits. You can hear spirits in the mind. You can hear them talking to you in your mind. And these are very, very random things. Like, I could know last Thursday we had, I have a terrific group of girls, and they're very, very giddy and very, very funny. But one girl was giving out specific information like a bike, or these specific informations were coming out of her mouth, and she was like, "Oh, that's very random. I don't know where that's coming from." I said, "Just go with it. You don't have to understand. You're not supposed to understand spirit's information." So what you do is just kind of connect to your heart. What I like to do is I like to connect to my heart and feel my pulse, whether it's on my wrist or my neck. I'll feel for my pulse. And I'll just slow down my busy mind. So slow down the heart rhythm by just going pump, 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 pump. And that brings me into a different place, different, when your mind is cluttered, you don't have room for spirit. You don't have room for spirit guides or the angel realm. Do you know
Hmm.
that your mind is too busy on, oh my God, I have to bring the kids to football today, or I
Right.
have to get down to the bank and pay the bills, or, and yes, these are every great day grounding things, and we need them in our life. But we, as mediums or as a psychic, you also have to keep what I like to call one corner of the mind free from clutter.
Hmm.
Um, Also, clearing the heart chakras, the chambers of the heart, and that's important as well. Um, Knowing that when you're in this kind of work, I always ask my ego to move to the left hand side of my shoulder, knowing that it cannot intervene in my readings, it cannot intervene with spirit, that we will share our moments when I'm finished with this reading or finished talking with the spirit. Does that make sense to you, Sandra?
It makes perfect sense. And just a little
Mm-hmm.
note on top of that, each human being, I believe we're all on our own unique journeys. So
Mm-hmm.
even though you may not know how and this goes for me too, to specifically do it,
Yeah.
to have the loving intent of connecting with your own soul, sitting in the
Mhm.
silence and
Mhm.
blending with the spirit world and asking. So we might not know how,
Yeah.
but I think the love and the
Yeah.
intent is important.
Absolutely. That's all you need. You know, I could be going to a platform demonstration. I could be rushing. I could be stuck in traffic. I don't have time to meditate, and I don't have time to call upon my guides, or and you know, I don't think I've ever said this out loud before, but you know, I've often sometimes sat down and said, "Okay, guys, are you ready?" You know, just to my
Yes.
guides, "Are you ready? Are you ready, guys?" You know,
Yes.
literally clap my hands and say, "I'm ready to work." You know, and once you feel your pulse and feel that pulse, you are allowing your heart rhythm to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I suppose once it's practice, it's almost like driving a car. It just comes very natural. Comes very natural. Yeah, because I've been doing that all my life. I don't know how not to do it. Okay,
Yes.
if anything, I get it very hard to be grounded. I get it very hard to know. Okay, it's mummy time now, or it's I'm a wife right now. And for me, it's very, very hard to maybe go to a wedding or a social event and be around a lot of people and say, oh my God, if I have this glass of wine now, I'm not going to stay tuned out. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That if I have this glass of wine, you know, our spirit's going to pop in and out of everywhere. And that can be very difficult. Especially if Selene has 3 or 4 glasses of wine. So no, it's, you know, it's, you know, and it's with spirit as well. They are good. When you say to them, you know, I'm actually not working now, whether it be 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, or whether it be at a social event, you know, you just give that intention that, you know, I'm not working right now, and it helps ground me then.
Yeah. Celine, we only have a few minutes left and I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Wow.
But I know it goes by fast. I do want to talk about the future because we had said before we
Mm-hmm.
started recording, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have any centers in Ireland. And in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
which where I live, there's very little talk of home circles and
Mm-hmm.
this sort of things. What do you think is possible for the future, getting the words out? And if you
Mm-hmm.
have any advice to people
Yeah.
that are mediums, psychic mediums, or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
about going
Yeah.
forward.
Absolutely. So yeah, like guys, I was explaining that I come from a very rural part of Ireland, and we don't have any circles. We don't have any demonstrations or any classroom or workshops. And for me, it was growing up and listening to my guides, listening to my intuition. Sometimes, you know, my guides would get me to do little practices like tune into what we would probably call it your gut feeling. So this would be your intuition, okay? Tune into that and say, okay, is my name Selene? And see how that feels. And then I would say, okay, is my name Sarah? And see how that feels. Okay, so you're throwing yeses and nos at yourself, and you're getting that kind of feeling of yes or no. Okay. Sometimes also you can say to your spirit guides, can you show me what my yes is? Can you show me what my no is? And you can talk to your spirit guide just like this. Sometimes they may give you a touch, or they may give you a sense of hot or a sense of cold, or they could give you some pressure in the head, or, you know, this is a wonderful way to get to know your guides, definitely, and to build up your intuition. Also, you know, with mediumship or with psychic work, there is no right way. There's no rules. It doesn't matter how many workshops you do go to. It's important to make this your own. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. Like going to, whether it's Arthur Finlay, And you would have, an amazing tutor giving amazing guidance and showing you exactly, what she does. But that doesn't mean that that's going to work for you or me. Because at the end of the day, if we're so focused on this way that she's trying to explain to us as the tutor, we're going to forget our own way. And then, we're going to get annoyed with ourselves and disappointed with ourselves that it's not going to work. This has to be our own way because we are so authentic and we're so unique and we're very, very special in every single different way. And, it's important to connect with yourself. Once you connect with your own soul, because the soul knows so many things anyways. The soul knows so much more than you know. And this is about connecting with your soul. Even regards if you have your spirit guides or you know of your spirit guides, the number one key is blending and learning about your soul. Like, it's important as well, Sandra, you know who you are to other people, okay? Like, I know I'm a mom, I know I'm a mother, I know I'm a sister, I know I'm a friend. But it's important for me to know who Selene is to me.
Yes.
And that's what we do forget. As we were explaining about as well earlier, that, the hardest part for a psychic or a medium is to tell people around them, okay? To tell friends around them or tell family around them. And, that can become very panicky, or you can start judging yourself, or you're thinking, oh my God, they're actually thinking this, when they may not be thinking that at all,
right.
Okay? So it's all fear-based thoughts, it's all judgment upon yourself. How it was very, very scary actually for me. I was sitting in my friend's house, Orna, and she said to me, because my sister Natasha had already been out doing cards and out doing spirit work, she said, do you do that? And I said, yeah. And she said, what? I said, yeah, I do it, yeah. And she said, really? And she said, maybe you could give me a card reading sometime. And I said, yeah, sure. And got my cards, went into her house. Now, I was sweating buckets, thinking, oh my God, like, I know this girl. I know if she's married. I know how many children she has,
Yes.
And, it was like, these are going to think, I can't actually do this, And I was working myself into a knot. Anyways, it was a good reading. And I do believe I blew her socks off, as she said.
That's great.
And it just came more easier. And then with Denise and Olivia, and Olivia is a terrific girl, absolutely amazing girl. Olivia can be very skeptic, which, we all are very different people. But Olivia is so, so supportive. And that's what makes her an amazing friend. She mightn't agree with everything I do, but she is very, very supportive and very, very supportive about it. And she would always ask me about my work. But she loves my card readings too. So that brings us right up to today. I have great support, great friends, an amazing husband, and I'm very, very happy.
Oh, that's wonderful. I thank you for all you do, Selene.
Thank you.
And I know you're being a messenger for the spirit world, but you've done a lot, even overcoming your own pain, your own things, your own ego, all that. And I know it's still there, as I too like to have the glasses of wine with you. But we're human beings. We really are.
Absolutely, yes.
But I think we all have to know that as afraid we might be of stepping out and sharing who we are. And there might be people
Mhm.
that aren't interested, but I personally
Mhm.
have found more people that are interested. And I
Yeah.
think most
Mhm.
people have this interest, but we're afraid to talk about it for fear of what people might think about us.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted to share that little bit of
Yes,
a story with you. It's
yes.
important. Yeah.
And I thank you for
Yeah.
that. And also for all of us to find ways to connect. And there might not be anybody in your close family or friends that talk this
Mhm.
lingo, but we are around. So Celine, you go to her Facebook, Celine Taylor, Psychic Medium, be part of her online, live, Facebook videos here. We
Mhm.
have a Facebook group called We Don't Die Listeners, and simply on Facebook, just type in We Don't Die Listeners, and there's over
Mhm.
3,000 of us that talk the same language, that you can share any bit of your struggles or your joys or your signs or your questions. It's really a great place. And then what I see too is around the world, there'll be more and more people that connect in real life, and we'll be able to get together as friends. And it's so important to have a community. And right now, if it's a virtual community on the internet,
Yeah.
that's fine. But you're
Mhm.
not crazy.
And
This
it's
is
great that you have this.
real.
I didn't have this
Yes.
growing up. This is amazing. Yeah,
It
really is.
is. And the time will come, I think, that the centers and circles and things like that will be more readily available. And it'll be up to some
Mhm.
of us to create them. So
Yes.
thank you again, Celine, for being our guest today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Um,
And thank you all your listeners for listening. It was great to share my story. And the spirit guides are so excited that we've been speaking about them too. So we send all our love to each and every single one of you. Have an amazing day, guys.
oh, thanks. And again, to reach Celine, if you want to follow her or book an appointment with her, Celine Taylor, psychicmedium.com. And you mentioned the spirit guides being excited. I can just
Hmm.
imagine the millions of spirit guides excited now that there's a
Yeah.
possibility that their loved one that they are with
Hmm.
might actually be able to get to hear from them and know it's them. So I can
Yeah.
sense that excitement. And for our listener, I want to thank you for being here today. A couple announcements. First of all, we keep this radio show commercial free on purpose. And well, you know why, because it just stinks to have in the middle of every 5 minutes, and we're going to break for a commercial. But people have asked if there's a way to donate to the show, and we've created a way that you can actually become a patron of the show for as little as $1 an episode, and certainly not anything you have to do. But there's a website called Patreon, which is spelled Patreon, patreon.com, and you can just either type in Sandra Champlain or We Don't Die Radio, and it'll bring you to the page. You can give $1 or more per episode. You can stop it at any time, but know that every dollar does help keep it going. I have a day job, as you know, catering, that funds most of it, but I do appreciate any donation at all. So for those of you who have donated, a huge thank you. It all makes a difference. I will be one of almost 40 speakers September 2018 in Scottsdale, Arizona at the annual Afterlife Symposium, all about the afterlife. And it's a great way to connect in real life with, it'll be probably about 800 people that speak the same language, all interested in things all about the afterlife. You can go to afterlifesymposium.org to find out more. Our home base for the show is we don't die radio.com. If you go there, there'll be a little pop-up that says, do you want to join Sandra's Insiders Club? And that's simply a way that you can get a free read of my book, a very healing audio called How to Survive Grief. And then I've got a report called My 19 Reasons to Believe in the Afterlife. And that's pretty cool, I would say. So in closing, I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you again to Celine. My name is Sandra Champlain, and I am so excited that I get to be your host on We Don't Die Radio. I do believe that life is an education for the soul, and that your life here on earth is important. And I might not have these words correct from Celine, but it just really struck me. Listen to the silence, and the silence isn't always so silent after all. That tuning in to your own quiet mind really is the place to have your soul, your spirit guides, your friends that may not be visible to you in real life, but they are still around you and love you. And that's a great way for them to connect. So I want to thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon.